Hi there, and welcome to Theology Thursday. You know, it's interesting, if you were to try to describe me, if you knew me, you probably would pick out maybe a few things about me. I love being outdoors, hiking and mountain biking. I ride a motorcycle. I like guns. My wife and I, ballroom dancers, online gaming, a dad and a granddad. I mean, there are different things you could pick out. Well, Jesus is the same. There are a lot of things about Jesus, and sometimes there's a tendency only to pick two or three things, and technically that's idolatry. We're developing a Jesus based on only two or three things that we see, but to get a full picture, we need to consider the full life and ministry of Jesus. So I want to give an example of that today because I want to ask the question, was Jesus gentle? So we look at Matthew chapter 11, starting verse 28. We found this great statement from Jesus. And he says, "Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." So Jesus says it right there. He's gentle, so that's it. That's all he is. But that's not the only thing that we read about Jesus. Like there's a bigger picture of him. And so we have to be careful when we read passages like this that we don't say, well, that's the defining characteristic of Jesus, and sort of downplay everything else. And so we need to see a complete picture. It's just like people that you know. They're not just one thing. They're not just a parent or just an employee at some place, or just the hobbies that they do, or just what they achieved in high school, or whatever it may happen to be. There's always more to them. Sometimes we say there's more to him or her than meets the eye, like that. So, yes, Jesus was gentle, but let's think about it. Not only does Jesus say, "I'm gentle and lowly of heart," but Jesus could calm the storms. So if Jesus can take a massive, deadly storm and make it calm, obviously has the power to take the calm and turn it into a deadly storm. Like he's got the power of a hurricane, so to speak. But oftentimes Jesus instead is more gentle. So here's the way that it works. Because this word gentle is an interesting word. It carries the idea of trained animals. They're tame. They got power, like a horse has power, but it doesn't run over people. They're used to help people. That power is harnessed. This word is also used of a breeze. So a gentle breeze versus a fierce storm, but both of them are wind. Just a strong wind and a gentle breeze. And so Jesus says, I'm like the gentle breeze, even though he has the power of a hurricane. This does not mean that Jesus was soft, or that Jesus was weak, or that Jesus didn't exhibit any characteristics of strength and that kind of stuff. Like that's simply not the case. But when Jesus says, "I am lowly of heart," or gentle and lowly of heart, what he's saying is he exhibited self-control. That's what it means to be gentle. Gentle does not equal weak. Lowly of heart does not equal a doormat that gets run over. This is someone that can exhibit self-control, especially in terms of people that are hurting, people that are struggling. I find it very interesting when we look at the life and ministry of Jesus. Here's what we find. When it comes to widows and orphans who are just ignored by most people, when it comes to the outcasts, the prostitutes, the tax collectors, the people that had jobs that many people at least in that day, thought made them ceremonially unclean, the lepers, the list it goes on and on and on. Jesus was very gentle to them, very compassionate to them. I mean, look how many people either came to or were brought to Jesus with handicaps. The lame, the blind, the mute, the deaf. It's like an endless parade of people who were kind of considered non-contributors, especially that society. There was no Americans with Disability Act kind of thing. Oftentimes, people that couldn't walk, whether it was from birth or the result of an accident, they weren't cared for and put in wheelchairs and things like that. They just were set by the city gate every day, and they would beg, and hopefully they would get enough to feed themselves. And that was kind of, they literally were just barely existing, and that was it. Man, Jesus was very gentle to them. But then look at how Jesus was with the self-righteous, the holier than thou, the people that always judged everybody else's spirituality. And I found it interesting that people that always are kind of evaluating everybody else have a tendency to think most people are not as spiritual as they are. They rarely say, I couldn't hold a candle to her. Man, my walk with Jesus isn't like her. They tend to be very judgmental, because judgmentalism comes out of an attitude and a spirit of superiority. And so, these were the Pharisees, the Sadducees, the scribes, all the priests. These were the people that thought they were better than all the rest of these groups. And Jesus was not gentle with them, man. He was harsh with them. I mean, he called them snakes and tombs and empty tombs, tombs full of dead men's bones. Y'all clean on the outside, you're filthy, rotten, dead, nasty on the inside. He said, who warned you of the wrath to come? I mean, Jesus was just brutal to them. So when we read Matthew 11, we can't just pull it out and go, yeah, this is who Jesus is. No. This is who Jesus is to those that are hurting, those that are carrying a heavy burden. Jesus says, come to me and I will give you rest. Those that are struggling and suffering, Jesus says, come to me. My yoke is light. If people are always putting on you, you need to do this better and you do that better, and you're a loser and you're worthless and no gain, come to me. I'm gentle and lowly of heart. If you feel like an outcast, you're the teenager that is just not popular. You're not athletic. You're not really musical. You're just you're awkward. You're not one of the pretty girls or one of the super athletic guys, and you're just you walk down the hall next to the wall. You may not have any friends or not very many friends, and you just kind of feel like you're always on the outside, that you're never going to be accepted, that you're never going to amount to anything, that you feel like an outsider, probably the best term to use. Jesus says, come to me. I'm gentle. I won't cast you out. Come to me. I will bring you to be one of mine. Come to me and I will love you like you've never been loved. I made you like you are because I have a purpose for your life and I care about you. And to those that think they don't need God, or those that think I'm good like I am. Look how righteous, look how wonderful I am. Jesus rebukes and pushes back. So Jesus, it's great to know he's gentle, but it's also good to know that he is the hurricane when it's needed. And Jesus is a hurricane to the self-righteous. He is a hurricane to those that seek power and wealth and position and prestige and all that this world has to offer. But he is gentle to those that aren't going to get any of that again are marginalized. So was Jesus gentle? Yes. But that doesn't mean he was weak or that he was soft. It means that he had this power, but he controlled it. Because these people were still sinners. The outcasts, the lepers, the tax collectors, they're still sinners. They're sinners in need of grace. But Jesus exhibits some self-control in dealing with them. He doesn't explode in all of his fury, with all of his power. And we need to be thankful that he doesn't come at us with all of his power. But to those who reject him and those who think they don't need him because they have their own righteousness, whatever, man, someday they will face the full power of God's justice and his wrath against sin. So here's the way I imagine this. We have a big, strong man, and he's holding a small newborn baby. He could just crush the life out of that child. He could snap that child in half. He's got that kind of power, but he doesn't. This is a small child that needs to be cared and nurtured and held. And what does he do? He gently holds that child. Jesus has that kind of power, but he doesn't come and snuff us out and snap us and break us. No, he holds us gently. He has the power. He's not soft. And if you saw this big hulking giant of a man holding this tiny baby, you wouldn't say, oh, he's soft. He's gentle. That's what Jesus is with us. That's what his gentleness is. So it's not weakness or softness. It's gentleness. So let's be thankful that we have a powerful Savior who is gentle with us when it comes to using his power. God bless you. I hope you have a great day.